Okay, let's cross to my colleague Patricia, if I can ask you to stay with us, Dr. McKinley, to get reaction following the State of the Province address. Patricia, what's the reaction you're getting there?
Well, I'm standing by with civil society. I'm now joined by Gauteng Diale. You have your concerns that you want to raise some of the areas that you feel are important currently in terms of the health status, in particular the fact that we come from the COVID-19 pandemic, which has caused so much devastation in our country. Just take us through your thoughts.
Well, thank you so much. Our thought line is that we could have heard more of the Premier talking about epidemic and pandemic preparedness, dedicating a budget line to help communities, to respond better to such eventualities.
All right, thank you so much. I want to bring in the municipalities. You would know the Tshwane municipality, the capital city. It's one of the focus areas with its financial challenges in particular. I'm now joined by Jewel Masilela. The municipalities, it's one of the areas that the Gauteng government has to support in order to make sure that service delivery ultimately is improved and the needed services get to the people in Gauteng. Are you convinced that as Tshwane, you will be getting the needed support from the Premier's office?
I think first and foremost, we will. We are actually inspired by the speech that he delivered. Where we are standing, it's one of those investments that were run by the provincial government. The support will go into great lengths. One, the power stations that are defunct in the city of Tshwane. The previous government was not willing to work with the provincial government for us to be able to increase the capacity on electricity, and as a country having difficulties. So he made mention of the fact that we are now warm towards working with the provincial government, and just a number of projects that he has committed in providing the kind of support that we need. One, it's very important, is the IGR, which is the intergovernmental relations, where he overemphasized that as municipalities we must approve plans for development such as the new schools that are supposed to be coming, for them to be expedited, because we know that Gauteng and Tshwane in particular receives both domestic and international migration. So there's a need for us to be able to increase infrastructure and education, whether it's roads, the provision of electricity and many other services. So we are actually elated by this speech by the Premier, and we will be working hand in glove as a municipality, working with other political parties. So yeah, we're more than confident that everything will go according to plan.
All right, thank you. I see the MEC.
Okay, ladies first. No?
Let's start with you. Introduce yourself and then just tell us about your thoughts of the Premier's address.
Okay, my name is Vuyiswa Ramokgopa, MEC of Agriculture and Rural Development. And I think overall the Premier's address really covered everything that had to be said. There's no doubt that Gauteng faces a number of crises, be it infrastructure, whether we're talking about water infrastructure, electricity infrastructure, etc., the state of our municipalities. And these are issues that we raised beforehand, that we were able to give input to the speech. And I think he's managed to touch on some real concrete plans about what is being done to rally, to coordinate the activities of all of the different mayors of the key municipalities, but also very importantly to ensure that we turn those municipalities around. Governance was also very high on our agenda. There must be accountability for the use of public funds. There must be accountability when people are found guilty of engaging in any kind of misconduct, particularly financial misconduct. They must face consequences. And it was really good to hear the Premier taking a strong approach on that. And of course, from the perspective of our portfolio, being agriculture and rural development, we have made some great strides in that space in terms of being able to create 10,000 jobs in 2024 alone through agro-processing. And we've also been able to attract potential investments that are coming through from the Hunan province in China. So we're really growing the Gauteng economy quite sustainably. And that's something that we also felt was very high on the agenda, and the Premier addressed a number of measures to that effect.
All right, thank you so much. Gauteng Education MEC Tshwane is here with me. You have a heavy task ahead of you, a lot of schools that needs to be built, and many are wondering whether that is a realistic goal.
It is, because we don't have a choice. We have to build schools because of our system is growing. So if we don't build, we're going to end up having extreme overcrowding. So we are going to build schools. The commitment that the Premier has made, we are well ahead of our time. I mean, already we know that in the next month or so, we're going to start unveiling the first school of the 18 schools that it's spoken about. So we are confident that we'll be conclude the 18 schools, a large majority of them by end of the year. At least a significant portion, over 50% of them, should be up and running by end of this academic year.
Do we have perhaps an idea, a blueprint as to where will these schools be? Which areas are you targeting, and why those particular areas?
Now, we are addressing three things in the main. We're addressing, obviously, areas, high-pressure areas. We're addressing asbestos schools. We're also addressing mobile schools. Those are the three schools that we're doing. There are new schools, replacement schools in the main that these 18 schools will cover. But there's a bigger number that he didn't want to speak about, but it's going to be a surprise as and when we continue next year when he reports that yes, we're targeting this number, but much more number of schools have been opened in our province. We are working around the clock. In fact, some of the schools, some of the contracts, we said they must work 3 shifts. They're working 3 shifts to ensure that they finish the schools on time.
All right, thank you so much. That being the Gauteng MEC Tshwane. Of course, my colleague Mthethwa is standing by, and we're just tossing it to her this hour.
Thanks, Patricia. Well, I am standing by with the MK party, Umkhonto weSizwe party, that's going to be giving us their reaction. Now, as Umkhonto weSizwe, you are responsible maybe in part for the decline that we've seen in the ANC. What are your thoughts on what has come out of today's proceedings?
Yeah, in fact, of course, the ANC used to call itself the discipline force of the left, but we don't know exactly what they are doing. That is why MK Party was formed. It's one of the reasons, because currently, if you listen to a speech, they are giving away our land to people we don't know. And at the end of the day, in 10 or 20 years' time, people of Gauteng won't be occupying any space, because they will be building mall without proper agreements. We don't know whether they are leasing it or they are selling the land, because they normally sell the land to the few elites who are owning the resources of this country. We are not getting any development. Instead, we are busy declining. They speak of 32 learner teachers, but sometimes last year, in fact, they have retrenched almost all of them who were learner teachers. So there's nothing in the ANC government that will say it's correct currently. In fact, they are selling out the people of South Africa.
So what you're in fact speaking about are those contracts, those assistant teacher contracts which came to an end but were not renewed. Those contracts which were actually brought in because of the pandemic and were were discontinued because there was a funding shortfall.
Yes, it's such things, because why do you re-advertise? But you know that there are people that have lost that job and they have started their experiences thrown into a bin. And we argued around it last year. The issue of safety in Gauteng, you can check the police warden, which we normally call the Mama Panya. We were told they will be armed because they are working without proper tools of trade. And they are busy being put into risk. And you can check the crime in Gauteng. We've got the crime of house robberies and murder crimes. And you can't say the stats are going down while people are dying. It's not all about the stats. It's
Thank
about
you so
people's
much.
life.
Thank you so much. Unfortunately, we have run out of time. We were just getting a reaction from the Umkhonto weSizwe party in the Gauteng province, and they are bemoaning the fact that it seems as though those wardens that we spoke about earlier today are ill prepared to go into the communities they are meant to serve and fight crime, saying that many of them are going into very dangerous situations without being properly armed or trained for the kind of environment that they find themselves working in. For now, it is back to you in studio.
Very well. Thank you very much, Mbalenhle, Mthethwa. They're giving us a sense of the reaction on the ground.